Hi, I'm Jason Gord for ThatShop.com, and we're here to look at the 10th anniversary set of CARRIE and LOWELL by Sufjan Stevens.
Big shelf.
So I got a funny relationship with Sufjan. I think a lot of people love him, don't love him. I kind of get it. Some people find him really twee. But for ever since I was introduced to Michigan and Illinois, come feel the Illinois, I've sort of pointed at him out as he's one of the few quote unquote new artists that I love as much as the old artists. Now, it's kind of ridiculous then that one of his quote unquote later albums is now 10 years old and we're revisiting it. Nonetheless, if you look at the stuff that I tend to listen to, much of it from before when I was born, albums by The Who, The Beatles, Stones, etc., that sort of quote unquote classic rock, but also jazz, Miles, also folk, Joni, a ton of stuff that just musically really, really, really hits me on a deep level. There's all kinds of stuff, obviously, from when I was around, but there's a ton of music that sort of leans to the earlier part of the experiments with rock and roll, etc. A lot of the prog stuff, I was around when in 72, 73, but much of it before I was actually conscious of what was actually taking place. The soul, the funk, James Brown, all of that stuff. I mean, just and a lot of music. And there are certain bands that I really respond to, stuff like Polyphonic Spree, etc., that give me that sort of joy, that sort of maximalist joy. But there's something so exquisite about the way that Sufjan Stevens actually constructs his music. There's a purity to his voice. There's a intelligence to his orchestration. Absolutely minimalist or absolutely maximalist, depending on what the actual song does. That I really, really respond to. Not every album works for me, but he's certainly one of those artists that whatever he releases, I just buy. And it's funny because, again, for years I was saying, like, I listen to new music, I listen to Sufjan Stevens, and Sufjan Stevens is now a generation out of what contemporary pop music is, hence us celebrating it. So, after those big giant records, some of which we've actually shown before, he released CARRIE and LOWELL, which is a very somber but very beautiful record. It's about, memory and loss, as almost everything is. The record itself, pretty straightforward record. Around the case, the first track is Death with Dignity. Ostensibly a complication with his mom and stepdad, etc., etc. But it's a beautiful album and a really gorgeous sounding record. It's recorded really, really well. Mostly, lacking some of the big brassness, the electronic stuff that he actually does with like the Rabbit sessions, etc. Just, the closest. I guess Beck kind of sort of touches on the stuff with stuff like Sea Change, for example, but this is very much his own. Feels like almost like a Leonard Cohen record, in the best of ways. It's a beautiful, beautiful record. And so when they were releasing a revisiting of this that includes a bunch of demos, etc., I got super excited, and I went ahead and ordered it. And so there's the original. Here's the new version that sort of eschews the giant text on the front. I think it actually looks better with the scrawled part on the Polaroid where CARRIE and LOWELL in sort of, it's probably hard to see, but it's in pink writing on the Polaroid. I think that's actually a really nice way of doing it. I get why they did this, but this, if you're already getting Sufjan, you know that, and that allows the side to actually have that. And on the back, it shows what it has. This is one of those slider boxes, whatever we want to call it. It goes in the side. That's what the side A and side B have the same record. Side C, That's What Dignity demo, Should Have Known Better demo, Eugene demo featuring S. Carrie, The Only Thing demo, Mystery of Love demo, Wallala Lake Monster version 2, and 4th of July version 4. And if you've heard Avalanche, if you've heard all this stuff, you know that his demos are obviously really revelatory. Some of their changes are quite significant, but you actually see the process of him doing it. And so for such a relatively minimalist record, it'll be interesting to see just how radically it changed from demo to actually production form. So let's crack this open and see what is inside. This came straight from Asthmatic Kitty, his record label. Or at least, label, distribution, whatever, the Asthmatic Kitty. Those guys. Let's call it a label. It just feels more like a label. It feels like a club. Anyway, inside here, the box, we have the record broken down like this. The gatefold. Photo, Carrie and Lowell. The inside, very arts and crafty, very Sufjan. And then a lovely booklet, super thick booklet, also with the same elements. And yeah, a series of mostly images. I don't see a lot of text in here. But yeah, artsy photos. Again, very Sufjan-y in its construction. No words, just another way of actually doing a booklet, because why not? The records themselves, housed, unfortunately, in my case, but nonetheless, they look pretty. So you can see kid photos in here with a full breakdown of all the lyrics. And the records themselves, the sort of special edition version, are like this. So this is side A and side B on the sort of tie-dye blue vinyl. And the other record, again, vintage images, Carrie's mom. And then there's the breakdown. There's where all your text is. And this one is pressed in a similar way, but obviously because it's all going to break down, each of these is going to be unique, the sort of blue and white. So I'm super excited to be diving into this record again. I'm hoping this pressing, despite being colored vinyl, despite being in paper sleeves, after it goes through the degritter, I hope that it actually cleans up well. And I believe this will be the definitive version that I have. Will I keep the other one? Of course I will. I'm an idiot. But we will see how this one actually plays. And it's a really beautiful celebration, I think, of Sufjan and this exquisite version, this exquisite period of his career. 10 years, man. For thatshelf.com, Jason Gorber, thank you so much for watching. Subscribe, follow us on social media. We'll see you next video. All the best. Take care.